But what are some of the things that you notice a lot of people struggle with, why they approach you to begin with?
Everyone has fear of looking stupid.
What is the number one thing you see that people do that they do to sabotage the way they show up?
This one is good. They say, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, I should have done that. I'm such a dummy.
Oh my gosh.
That self-talk.
For those listening and watching this right now, if you could share one thing about how you help people, what would you want them to know?
I help them see themselves for who they are and project in the world.
We're here to talk about confidence, and people are going to leave this interview, they're going to leave this podcast understanding not only what is confidence, where it comes from, but also how they can improve their confidence, which is such a fascinating thing. And it's obviously fascinating to you because that's what you do.
Yeah.
So before we kind of start to unpack all that, please share with everybody who you are and what you do, Michele.
Okay,
Yeah.
I am Michele Partridge, and I am a confidence coach. So what I do is I help people find their superpower confidence powers in business, public speaking, acting, and beyond. So I have been teaching now confidence coaching specifically for 6 years, but I have been teaching acting for 30 years.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all that because there's some really fascinating ways that all ties in together that really helps kind of bring the whole story forward, so to speak. So
Absolutely.
To kind of kick things off a little bit, there's people listening to this right now, there's people watching this right now, and they want to know, why do I not feel confident? What's wrong with me when I walk into situations? What's going on, sort of thing. So we're gonna talk a little bit about those people and why they might be feeling that a little bit today. What I also want to make sure that we cover today is how you help people. How you help people go from maybe anxious when they walk in a room, or that feeling of anxiety getting up in front of a microphone or presenting to people. There's so many ways that you help people, whether it's in business or life or personal. There's that great saying that, when people are doing my eulogy, they'd rather be the person in the casket than the person standing in front of everybody giving that. So this whole world, let's kind of start how you got to where you are today. So you've got a really fascinating background in acting and helping people kind of progress through that, which led you into this. Share some of that story with me.
Well, let me see. I started acting when I was 14, drama, grade 9. I found my people, because I was very shy. Hard to believe, I know, but I was very shy prior to finding my people in drama. And that's where I got to really blossom. And so did everybody else in the class, because to find a place where people are like you, where they have these voices in their head, so to speak, and they have these little characters, and they just love the stage. They love to perform. They love the reaction when people laugh or cry or whatever it is, or gasp based on your performance. You're moving them, you're engaging them, being a creative soul. So that's where it started. And then I did that after I graduated high school. I actually traveled for 2 years, traveled the world and studied in London and the States, and just wherever I could waitress kept me traveling.
Sure.
Under the table, right? So, and then I came back and continued here. This is all before the internet in the 80s and 90s. And film and TV was taking off here. Stephen J. Cannell had set up shop with 21 Jump Street, Hats.
21 Jump Street was filmed in Vancouver?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. MacGyver, all of that.
Oh, wow.
And it just took off. And so a lot of the theater trained actors were learning film and television acting, and that it really took off. And so in the independent world, I loved the process of filmmaking. And so I would help my friends who are also filmmakers and actors with casting. So I would do independent casting, and then I went into independent producing. So short films, and then commercials, and then feature film. And then I got to experience going to markets in New York and Los Angeles. And then we started submitting our film to film festivals.
Okay.
So we got accepted into 5 film festivals worldwide, which was so exciting. We went to the very first Hollywood Film Festival.
Wow.
Yeah, and now I think it's 31, 32
Okay.
years later or something.
All right.
I don't know if it's that much, but anyways, it was very exciting.
Yeah.
And we were invited to go to Italy to go to a film festival there, but my husband and I were getting married. So it's like, oh, should we go to Italy or should we go to this film festival? We ended up getting married. So anyways, that was exciting. And meeting my husband, who is a prop designer. And so that was great. And so that sort of carried on. And I partnered up with a fellow actor who is also a writer. And we opened up the studio on the Drive, our first acting studio on Commercial Drive. And it became very popular, very busy. And I was at a point where I wanted to try something different. I love to challenge myself. So my friend, who was also a casting director, recently got hired at Electronic Arts. So she said, if you ever want to jump ship and try something different, let me know. And I said, okay, I think let's give it a go. So 4 interviews later, this is when EA, the flagship office, was only like 100 people. And so I was in my 30s, early 30s. And I was one of the oldest people there, which was so funny because they were all so young. It's a very young, industry. I only knew Pac-Man. I mean, really, I didn't know anything about video games.
Well, it's also an industry that moves super fast.
Yes.
Like, like the schooling that somebody might have had to get there
Absolutely.
could be totally changed 3 years down the road. I mean, look at, the age of AI right now, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it would be more true than now.
Well, they wanted to go to the next level, multimedia. And so they were hiring a lot of film industry people. So I was part of the producer group, and it was sort of a hand-picked group of 30 of us, or 35, by Don Matrick, who was the owner of EA, and he wanted to create this little R&D group, research and development. And so, as it turned out, we were creating The Sims. We just didn't know what it was at the time. Wow. He wanted to create little people called Jones Me, and he didn't know if it was a platform game or if it was an online game, and so it ended up being The Sims. And it was so cool to create the assets, meaning the hairstyles and the clothing, and the way they talk, and it was really great. But then had a baby, went away for a year, and the hours were crazy, just like the film industry, like
Sure.
12 hours. We would go in at 3 a.m. and do beta testing on a new program that 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. It was insane. But when you have a baby, you cannot do that. So I was off for a year and I went back and I thought that's what you do. You have a baby, you get a nanny, because we had a basement suite. But the first day back I was crying because I missed my baby so much.
Oh, yeah.
10 hours away from my baby. And so I realized that I think I'd rather be at home. But because I had signed a new contract, I was there for 6 months. It was fine. It was great because I got to work on NBA Live. And I had never been to a basketball game. That's when we had the Grizzlies. And it was one of the best ways in the box seat to watch a game. But then after my 6 months, I was happy to be home. Mm-hmm. So I came home, and then being an entrepreneur, since I was 18 years old, had my first theater company, I was like, you know what? I miss teaching. So within the next few years, I grew the business out of our basement into kids-only acting classes. I had 10 instructors, 2 little ones under the age of 5. And nearly having a nervous breakdown because it was so much.
Because of working with kids, or just because of all the balls you were juggling at that time?
I'd never had kids before. So I did not realize how much duly so, that it was demanding to have a thriving business, and you want to have thriving children.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I can't do this to my kids. You know, they're only young ones.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, I just need a redo. So I sold my second acting studio after 5 years and decided to just be with my little. And I'm also love the planet. So I became an eco-blogger. And so that was my second passion. And I started a blog called Green Kick. So just showing people, and this was early days, like in the 90s. No, 2000s. That living green was an unusual new thing, right?
Yeah, it wasn't really talked about
exactly.
quite to the extent that it is today.
Yeah.
Not even close, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started, I was a guest speaker on Shaw TV and also Global TV for Earth Day on how you can live without chemicals in your house and just clean with vinegar and baking soda and many things that you can do with your family and how to recycle better and all of this. So I really loved that, and my blog was nominated, and I didn't even know it was being looked at to be nominated, what that meant. But that was great, and that enabled me to work a lot with my kids, and teaching them about the planet and how to be green. And my oldest was 12, and she said, Mom, I want to go back into acting. Because when she was little, funny enough, when she was a baby, she booked her first commercial. And then when she was 3, she booked her first print ad, which was for Honda Odyssey across, I think it was national commercial.
Okay.
Anyways, when she stopped booking, she said, I don't want to do it anymore. So and then at 12, she said, I want to go back into it. So I looked for acting classes and there was nothing. There was nothing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start teaching again. So I did, and I put it out there to the moms that I knew. Was this something that you would like? I filled 2 classes in a week. And I had to borrow space, rent space rather, at Camp Alexander. And that's where my first classes for the drama class. And my daughter helped me create the name of the new school that I was, and she helped me with the logo. So it was very much a family endeavor. And my husband, who I met when we made a feature film years ago, he's a production designer, and he's very smart in creating a creative space. He knew exactly what I needed. So yeah, and the space that we eventually ended up with was in White Rock, and that was like 8 years later. And it was wonderful. White Rock really needed a creative collaboration place. So people would rent our space, but also we would have showcases of talent. We formed an improv group called the Script Teasers, which was very funny. We sold out our shows all the time. It was great. And then COVID hit. And we all thought, oh, it'll be gone in 2 weeks, right? I think we all thought
you're in the whole world at that point.
We all thought, oh, it'll just go over. Yeah, I think my landlord was lovely. She gave me 2 months free rent. But then we realized, I don't think this is going to go away.
Yeah.
And she couldn't keep giving me rent because you weren't allowed to be in the same room with each other. So my 10 instructors at the drama class, we all pivoted online. So just like the film industry pivoted to figure out how to exist and keep running, that was one of the industries that survived during COVID because they just figured it out with rigorous testing and various things, and these are the sections you can go and you can't go here and all of that. So anyways, then we pivoted, went online, and it was great because our classes continued. I didn't think it would be possible to teach online successfully, but it definitely is successful.
Yeah.
And I still have clients worldwide. So after we did that for a couple of years, I said, you know what, I'd like to rebrand and I'd like to sell my studio. So I did. One of my teachers, Catherine Lowe Hagquist, purchased. She's a fabulous actor and business person. She still has the drama class online. Still, they have classes from professionals worldwide. So I always recommend people go like intro to voiceover, that kind of thing, like a 3-hour workshop, just to see if it's what that world is. So I rebranded myself and I called myself the confidence coach because I realized your confidence coach because I realized that everybody needs confidence. In my 30 years of teaching and more, I had people come in and say, can you teach me improv because I don't feel confident talking to a group of people and I don't know what that is, but I think improv could help me, or acting classes. Okay, yeah, no problem. Can you help me feel more confident when I have to read the speech? I know because we would teach diction classes and dialect coaching and things like that. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So then the more I thought about it and the more I talked to people about this idea of confidence, they said, oh, I could use confidence when I, go and see my boss because I want to ask for a raise. Learning about body language. What does that mean? Like this, for example, is a power move. And why is it a power move when you're speaking to somebody? Because you're putting everything on the table and we're mimicking each other's, body language. If you speak to somebody like this, that says you're not as confident, and it's like you're hiding something. It's subliminal, right?
Showing our hands, showing even back to subconscious. I don't have a weapon. That's where the handshake. That's where the handshake came from, right?
Right,
You shake hands to make sure nothing falls out of the sleeves. It's an old timey thing that we do.
And the eye contact is a big deal as well.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So you transitioned from this like very successful acting coach and this acting ecosystem that you really built, and you saw a need for people that they weren't showing up as their best selves.
Yeah.
And you saw this opportunity, and it wasn't just limited to actors at that point. Like maybe that's how it started. It sounds like that was part of the journey, but now it's morphed into this opportunity where, you said it well, people that want to show up better at work, show up better in their personal life, show up better, whatever environment that might be. They they all not they all, we all.
Yes.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
We all struggle with confidence.
Yeah, and I think with social media, oh, that's really taking a hit on people and their whole confidence because none of it's real.
Right.
Right? Social media isn't real. It's got filters. It's, edited crazy. So, but in our heads, we think, oh, okay, that's my goal in life is to look like that, is to be like that. But it's not real. It's all manufactured.
Yeah.
So it really has to start at the core, and how you're brought up has a lot to do with how you exist on this planet.
How do you mean? Unpack that for me.
Meaning, if you had a support system when you were growing up, or lack of a support system who ridiculed you, got angry with you, didn't like you as a young person, and you heard that constantly by parents or grandparents or friends, and you accepted it, that lands with you and that stays with you, and that's the foundation of you as a person.
Is that something that people can change?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to decide. That's not who I am.
Well, talk to me about that, because that's what I think is such a fascinating part about how you help people is we're all carrying around these stories that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
We're all carrying around, part of those stories is the identity in which we think we show up to the world around us.
Right.
And they're stories.
Yes, exactly.
So you're saying those stories, they start with how we're brought up in our. So,
It can.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. Or I guess as an adult, maybe in the workspace, or even just happenstance in life. This is my story. This is my circumstance, and this is where I've ended up, and therefore that's who I am.
Well, I always explain to people, or just remind people, we're all different. We're like snowflakes. We're all unique. We're incredibly different. There's no one on this planet like you. Yay. That's very cool when you think about that. So own it. What makes you you? What are you proud of to say when you walk in the door or think in your head about yourself, knowing that you're the only one on this planet like you?
Yeah, and what an empowering thought that is.
It is. And you have to remind people of that. And we were talking about that earlier. Every person I talk to who asks me for coaching, and we talk about their story and what is the end goal for them, and then I figure out a way to get that for them. But I say to every person on our first session, I say, I want you to write down 10 words about you. What words resonate with you that you believe that's who you are?
Where do they start with that exercise? What are they?
It's really hard for people.
Yeah.
Because they've never been asked that.
Right.
A lot of them never have to think about internally from that place.
And do you see a lot of baggage come out in that exercise as well? Yeah.
Absolutely. And it all comes from acting, because acting is like nothing you'll ever take in your life. And I always said every human should take acting or improv, because you can't play someone if you don't know who you are. How can you possibly play somebody? But you have to know you, the person, you, the human first. So in acting classes, we break all that stuff down, that baggage that adults have, and you allow yourself to be authentic and vulnerable in a safe place. And then you start going through your mannerisms and your characterizations, and where does that come from?
Yeah.
And how can I create new ones based on other tools like observation and listening and observing, is what actors do.
Yeah, well, and you made a good point, because there's so many things that we all do. Self-soothing as an example. So you're standing at a podium, or you're asking your boss for a raise, and you're sitting there rubbing your palms like this, or
do you believe that you deserve that raise?
Or the tone of your voice, or the way that you're holding yourself, or there's so many ways that we show up. And until we have that mirror to reflect back to us how we are projecting to our environment.
Yes, exactly.
Most people are completely oblivious to it.
They are, and that's why I videotape them.
You videotape them?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's got to be an incredibly painful exercise for them to show them how they are actually showing up.
Yes.
Because again, we've all got these stories we tell ourselves about how I project myself. Yes. And then to see it back and to have someone say, look at, did you notice this? Did you notice that? Yeah. Did you hear the inflection in your voice there?
You can, if you want it, you can do it. So if you want to improve your public speaking, great. I will help you with those guideposts, and we will always have a goal at the end. You will always have homework. you have to do the homework and make it important. Because if you want to see the change, you have to make the changes, right? You just can't wake up. And these are all going to be scary and new, but if you really want it, there's that goal at the end. And I'm a very big goal-oriented person. You know, my whole mindset is if you want to do it, there's literally nothing to stop you except maybe a physical thing, like if you can't be an astronaut, you know, because there's an age limit or whatever.
Yeah, the famous one is I as good as I'm ever going to get at basketball, I'm probably not going to be in. And I think I've aged out as well from the NBA, but probably not going to happen.
There are some stopping blocks.
There is some stopping blocks, yeah.
But I always say, you know, that famous line, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right.
You know, and people will always have excuses. You know, and sometimes they're just not ready. And that's okay. You will be ready when you're ready. You know, if you don't do the homework, that says a lot to me, that you're not ready for this, and that's okay. Just contact me when you are.
Yeah.
But once you're ready for it, I have expectations as well.
Well, you got to put in the repetitions to be able to make that change, because you're not just going to come in and just be fixed like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are the types of things that you find a lot of people that approach you struggle with? Like what's some of the I don't want to say the word hang-ups because I don't feel like that's a fair word. But what are some of the things that you notice a lot of people struggle with, why they approach you to begin with?
Everyone has fear of looking stupid. Stupid or silly or embarrassed.
The spotlight effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public speaking or speaking to others in a big room, you know, just showing up with presence, showing up with confidence. And I said, well, if you are not your biggest cheerleader and you don't believe it, nobody else will believe it. So you have to come in there and believe that, yeah, I'm meant to be here with all these other people. We're all here for the same reason, to meet one another, to make connections, and be authentic. I never want people to try and be somebody they're not. Right? Because we can recognize that as human beings straight away if somebody's not being honest and truthful. Right. You know, it's that old used car salesman kind of thing, right? You can feel it. Nothing against used car salesmen, by the way. They got a bad rap. But if you're not being honest, we know that. Right. Yeah, you can feel it right away. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, people always say that this is absolutely true. You have a first impression before you even open your mouth. It's your body language. It's how you present and show up.
Well, yeah, well, there's some people, when we first got to meet today, we met online previously, but we got to first meet today. And there's something about your energy and your aura. And I was thinking about that as we were sitting down, kind of getting ready to film. And what makes that happen? Like, why does Michele walk into a room and feel like she commands attention and it takes up some space, whereas everybody that comes into a room wants to make themselves feel smaller and to kind of hide towards the back? And you know, the idea of going to the community dance and sitting on the side up against the wall rather than getting into the mix. What do you think makes that? Like, where does that come from?
I wasn't born this way. As I said before, I was shy. I was very shy. But I'm a very positive person. I'm a glass half full kind of gal, I always say. And so that is what makes people glow. You can recognize people who are very the opposite, gray and sad and negative, and wonder why negative attracts negativity. Positive attracts positivity. So you have a choice. You can either be negative and put a downward look on life, or you can be a positive person. And that's what attracts us. Yeah, that glass half full is a great analogy. I remember hearing, I have a real estate coach that I've had since I've been in the business for 20 years almost now. And this always stuck with me. They said, you know, you could be driving down the road in a car and be upset that you're in traffic. Or you could look at it from the other standpoint and say, how lucky am I to have a car right now? That I don't have to work. You know, that I get to choose to get up every day and go to a job that I hopefully enjoy. Yes. A little bit of traffic ain't that big of a deal. Absolutely. It is perspective. Yeah. It's looking down, as Elaine Chung from the farmer's market, president of the farmer's market. Yeah, she was on the show previously. That's right. Yeah. And I love what she said when we first met. She said, it is perspective. Yeah. If you look 10,000 feet in the air down, you know, it really changes how you look at life. Yeah. Because your problem is just so tiny and small and ridiculous, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you change it, it changes your philosophy in your brain. It also changes your whole dynamic of your body and brain system. Your body doesn't want to be unhappy and miserable.
Right.
It really doesn't. It
Yeah.
wants to be happy. It's a functioning entity.
Yeah.
So if you feel good, your body's going to feel good because of what you're giving it, obviously, eating well and taking note of that and taking care of yourself. It's all connected. Right?
So it's fascinating that it's always a great story when someone struggled with something themselves, and like actually that's what I mean. Speaking to someone who knows so much about acting in the movie industry, it's the hero's journey, right? Like somebody
Yes.
who struggled with something and went through these trials and tribulations to figure it out. So how did that roll out for you? So somebody that was shy and maybe didn't command the room like you certainly do now, but like how did you proceed and get to where you are today? What was it for you that impacted your journey in that way?
I had a lot of great mentors.
Okay.
Yeah, mentors, I think, especially when you're a kid, looking up to somebody. And now as I look at it in the film industry, I had a lot of great mentors as well. I sought them out, and I always say to anybody doing anything in their life, if they want to learn about your job, or if anybody wants to learn about any job, just interview that person, buy them a cup of coffee for 30 minutes, get your questions, don't waste their time, because people love to talk about themselves. But not only that, somebody help them,
Yeah.
and is that pay it forward. So I will always, if somebody asks me for coffee and they seriously want to learn about acting or they want to learn about being confident or anything like that, I will definitely talk to them, because they will mentor somebody else.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
and
think
that's really what a coach is, right?
Yeah.
Like a coach is a form of a mentor where
Absolutely,
somebody who's seen that path before, somebody who's maybe been on the journey before that you want to take, and they're there to help guide you through that so you can come out on the other side and see similar results and have a similar experience to where they landed themselves. So you made this decision at a point where you're like, I can help people. I can help people get through this. And what were the tie-ins from your acting days that not that you're not doing it anymore, but like from when you were helping actors and whatnot, where did you notice a tie-in between what you do now, helping people build confidence and show up as their best selves, from what you learned in acting?
That's a really good question. Well, I realized it actually when COVID hit and pivoting and going online, because when I was coaching from somebody, I would be asked by various schools worldwide. I taught for a school in Kuwait, which was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and to teach international students, it's very different, and they were not, a lot of the students didn't quite understand what we were talking about or what the journey was. So I sensed that. So I thought, okay, well, let's just teach them creative play. And every one of them loved that. They loved to perform and play and be somebody else. And so once I got their attention in that way, then we started, because they were all business school. And so they didn't quite understand what the connection was. But I said, you're going to business school and you're going to talk to clients. So let's see how you talk to clients. And they had no clue how to do that. So I would go through the creative play and I said, now I want you to portray someone who is confident. What does that look like to you? And they would portray kings and queens, and someone in their world that they can associate with. I go, what makes that king or queen a king or queen? And they would say, oh, because they look down on you. They do this, they do that. And I said, okay, but what does that mean when your nose goes up like that? It means that your shoulders are back, your head is held high, and you look, and do you feel differently when you're sitting? They go, yeah, I feel really good. I feel confident. My back doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now let's put that into, you're not talking to somebody, a servant. You're talking to a client who needs your help. How would you help them?
Yeah.
And so it's just finding the right route. We're all the same humans. It's just sometimes that's being a good teacher is trying to figure out, you have 10 or 20, 15 students in the room. They all hear you, but they all don't clock it. So you have to teach the same lesson,
Yeah.
sometimes 15 different ways.
Yeah.
But you're just reiterating, but in different visual ways, or you're giving examples or solution-based or different games to engage them.
Well, it's almost like exposure therapy, right? Like you just got to get into the situation, and people, whenever you're teaching anybody anything, they will receive the message when they're almost ready,
Yes.
right? And not everybody
Yes.
gets ready at the same time.
Absolutely.
You know, you kind of hope
Yeah.
that they show up looking for your help when they want to build their confidence, that they're ready to accept it, but maybe they're not always in that.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I say to them, if you're not ready, not a problem. You know, let me know. I'll always be here for you.
Yeah.
But let me leave you with this to-do list
Right.
to think over or to do.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, let's go back to that.
Yeah.
You know, and so it always, and they do come back. You know, sometimes they think they're ready, but then once they learn about the expectation and there is some work involved, they can't fit it in. But to me, that work is very important because it's you. And you have to make yourself important. You have to put that time in your calendar and respect it because you are the most important person.
Right.
If you can't stand up for yourself, who will?
Right.
If you want to change yourself, you're the only one that can allow that to happen. So I give them ideas, you know, alternative ideas, solutions, and we just work through what works for them because everybody's coming from a different place.
Yeah, right. Different
And-
experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so then they figure out, okay, I really want to do this and I'm going to make this important and figure out my schedule and my kids' schedule, blah, blah, blah. And I hear this a lot from parents who's just like overwhelmed because there's so many balls in the air, especially when you have kids, a lot of expectations and jobs and things like that. Parents can get very lost, especially business owners. You know, there's so much. I've been a business owner my whole life. I've had several different businesses. I completely understand where they're coming from. So you have to make that time because all of a sudden you're not important. Everybody else is, everything else is.
Yeah, yeah. You're just trying to make everybody's else have that smooth sail,
And then you're miserable.
and you're miserable inside.
And then everything else is miserable. you can't do life.
Right.
You know. So if you're not happy and you need more confidence in your person as yourself or in your business, it all makes sense. If you're a more confident person, you're going to be a more confident parent. You're going to be more confident at your business as well, at everything in your life.
Yeah.
Because you understand how important that confidence is to you,
Right.
right? And how you show up for everyone in your life.
What is the number one thing you see that people do that inadvertently likely that they do to sabotage
Oh,
the way they show up?
this one is good. They say, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, I should have done that. I'm such a dummy.
Oh my
That
gosh.
self-talk.
Right.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Right. Because they're just reinforcing that belief.
Yes. So you say it enough, it's there. That's what you believe.
Right.
And that's what you get in life.
Right. Which ties into like one of your examples of one of your exercises that you do with the people that you help is those 10 words.
Yes.
And those 10 words, they probably don't start out with all favorable,
No, not at all.
exciting,
It's hard
confident,
for them.
powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's hard for them to think of positive words
Right.
about themselves.
Right.
And I just think, what would your child say about you? And that makes them go, oh, okay. Then they really take a moment and think. Because then you're hearing from your kids because they are little sponges, right?
Yeah.
They are watching you all the time. They hear you all the time. Some things are going to land with them and some won't. But now you're raising these little humans. So what you say and do, they're watching.
Yeah. Well, and
So-
you think about whether it's like your kids or, or like you're a parent, and they're oftentimes your biggest fans, right? Like your
Oh,
biggest,
yes.
your biggest supporters. Well, what would they say about you?
Yes.
You know, did they say that you did your absolute best, and would they say that you prepared like crazy to land this as whatever you're working towards, and that you care about people, and people go, oh, that is talking about me too. you know,
Yeah.
we're not always going to get it right,
No.
but the way we show up and the way that we feel about it, you know, being in, you're in sales, I'm in sales, because without being in sales, nobody knows that our businesses exist,
Exactly.
right?
Yes,
So, you know, but you're not always going to be successful. That's not reality.
yeah.
But you can leave a sales situation as an example where you can say, you know what, I gave them everything that they needed to know.
Yep.
I put them in a place to make the best decision that they could. And maybe I didn't, you know, in my world, maybe I didn't list that property today, but I know that they're going to come out in a better spot than when I first arrived there because they've got everything they need
Exactly.
to make a good decision.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
if you're authentic, authenticity is very important, as in acting as
Right.
well. We look for that authentic performance. But in real life, we don't want you to act. We
Right.
just want you to be real and genuine and
Right.
honest. And we can all recognize that.
Yeah.
But you have to own that as well and be real. And
Yeah.
don't try to put on a facade. That never works, you know, because we can recognize that. Just be you and be proud of who you are,
Yeah.
you know, and just smile and be you.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love meeting new people because, you know, like I said, we're all different and unique. And if I've never met you and I don't know your business, oh gosh, like let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say the rule of thumb is if you believe it, I'll believe it. It's like when you're telling a story to a friend or you bought something that you really love using and it just is amazing. And you're storytelling. You're telling that story to your friend and they get excited because you're excited. You can see the results. And that's a great feeling to share that with your friend and they're excited as well. So it's the same thing. If you love what you're doing, that will come out in the way you speak to them and they will believe you and trust you. And it's all about trust. We want to work with people we can trust.
Yeah. So as you've been going through and you've been helping people, I'm sure you've seen just some like incredible success stories. If you think of an example of someone who came in and not to name names or anything like that, but if you think of an example of somebody or maybe examples of people that have come in with maybe similar challenges, when they've come in versus where you've seen them go, what does that transformation look like?
It's so wonderful. And it makes me almost feel very teary because, especially with kids, you know, you see these wonderful little kids come in, sometimes teenagers, and it's like a butterfly metamorphosis. You know, once you start working with them, they're a very different person in 4 weeks. You know, and sometimes it takes kids longer. You know, if they're moving up to a public speaking assignment or they have to audition and they just nail it because you've given them great guideposts to help them get to that end result. My goodness, it just, to help another person and to see them blossom, that's why I love doing this. And another one was, I was talking about it earlier, where an older lady had a eulogy to do and she really wanted to do a good job. So I helped her with her eulogy and just, you know, the way she set up the phrasing and perhaps different, more impactful words, but then her public speaking. So I taped her. And of course, most of us are like, ah, go, you know, and I said, don't look at it as you. Look at it. Do I believe that person? Are they interesting? Are they being truthful? Are they someone that I just want to listen to them? And she said, okay, if I look at it with that kind of those eyes perspective, okay, it'll work. And so it worked for her because she emailed me the next day and said, oh, I'm so glad I had the training. I felt so good up there. And also I said to her, when people are in the audience, nobody is thinking and judging you. They're there because they want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
And if you make a mistake, own it. We all make mistakes. You know, back it up and say, okay, what I meant to say was, or in English, I'm going to say no.
Right.
And humor. If you can bring humor to this and not beat yourself up, you know, and everybody's staring at me and I'm going to die, you know, just throw that away. That's not going to happen. You're not going to allow that to happen. You're going to own the mistake because we all make mistakes. You're going to smile and you're going to start again.
So the people that go through something like that, what does the world offer somebody who shows up with confidence versus somebody that doesn't?
They wake up very differently. They're starting a new path in their life. They're not making the same mistakes or thoughts anymore. It takes a while. You have to really commit. It's like anything. If you really want to do it, you will do it. But when you've been doing the same thing for so long, it's become second nature to you.
Right.
Right? And why should I change? There has to be a reason for me to change. The people that get to that point, that's who I see.
Why do they want to change? Why do
Maybe
they
they
come?
wake up and realize nothing's working for me. Maybe I should try something else.
Right.
Maybe I have a big presentation coming up and my
Right.
presentations haven't been great in the past. And my boss said, you need to fix that.
Right.
And they don't know how to fix it. So that's why they come to me. I help people online worldwide all the time with presentations that they have to do. I've done many, many, many presentations. I've done lots of business coaching, entrepreneurial coaching for female entrepreneurs and just people in general. So I have a really good understanding of presence and how to grab an audience, make it interesting. You've got your PowerPoint or your slides, that sort of thing. So I can recognize how to engage people, and so I give those tips to them. They do it for me online or in person with the slides. We look at alternatives of how they can make it more engaging and more interesting, how to open up the speech, how to end the speech, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, I had one 2 days ago where this lady, she came in and she said, I'm up for this really big promotion and I need some help. And it's like the third interview and they have these questions and answers and it's for a fundraising opportunity. I said, great, let's see what you got. So we talked about the body language. We talked about her approach. Maybe start this way, try this. Maybe this is an opportunity, try it this way. And so we just really shifted around what she had already had. She texted me immediately after and said, oh, I felt so confident. They loved what I did. They loved my questions. I was so engaged. I really think I got it. I said, don't do that. Don't put it in the universe yet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But the most important thing is that you felt good.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Just do your best.
Yeah.
And you felt that you nailed it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you could ask for.
Feel good about what you can control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't control everything, but what you can control, you did the very best. And I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
And
That's
she's
amazing.
so proud of herself. She's never had that feeling before.
If someone's listening to this or watching this and they're thinking to themselves, that identity that we're talking about, this is for other people, this isn't for me, I don't deserve this, I could never be that, I could never be confident, I could never show up, what would you say to them?
Don't be so mean to yourself. You deserve more. You deserve better. And why not try for better? Why not try for happiness? You have the control. You control that happiness. If you like living the way you are, okay, that's your happiness. But if you're not happy, make the change. And it can be scary. A lot of people are scared of change. I thrive in it. I love change. I get bored. So for me, change is awesome. But for a lot of people, it is very scary. It rocks their world. It's that fight or flight thing, right? So I just say, what have you got to lose? Give it a try. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
So try it.
Yeah.
Why not?
What a great way. You've got what you've got over here.
Yeah.
And if nothing changes, that'll continue to be your story.
Exactly.
But you've got this wide open field of all this opportunity and space that you can go into, but you just got to start with the first step.
Yeah, and the fact that you're even talking to me, there's somewhere in there that wants to change or just investigate the opportunity. So let's do that together.
Yeah.
And everything, like I always say, you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah. I love that. Who's the ideal person that you help? Like what sort of things are they struggling with right now?
I would say entrepreneurs. I work a lot with entrepreneurs because it's exhausting to be an entrepreneur, right? You are everything. I always say you wear so many different hats.
Yeah. How many cups of coffee are we both on today? Now? I don't know.
I think I'm on 3.
Yeah.
So far.
And I will be shortly. Yeah.
But you learn so much and they beat themselves up all the time when they don't get it right. And I said, but what did you learn from that? A lot of people go to school, pay lots of money to learn what you just learned. And I know it was painful at the time, but man, you're not going to make that same mistake. So let's learn from that and move on to the next opportunity. I teach a lot about social media because a lot of entrepreneurs, they just can't seem to squeeze it in when you own a brick and mortar business and you've got staff and you've got a family. But I always say to them, you have a budget, and in every budget, there's a budget for marketing and advertising. How much is in your budget? And very little is usually in their budget.
Right.
And I say, social media is free. Your time is worth money. And so you need to put in that calendar an hour to 2 hours, and I will go over the basic social media that you need to have right now. Because without that social media, how are people going to find you?
Right.
Right? It's not like it was 40 years ago, right? Social media is everywhere. It's not going away. It's just going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. So you got to jump on board or else it's hard to get customers.
Yeah.
Right? That way. So I love working with entrepreneurs because they're the ones that are exhausted. It's challenging because they're really like at that point when they're so exhausted, I have to try and lift them up a little bit and say, let's just carve out time for you and make sure that we use every minute. It's valuable time. I understand your time is very valuable, but then delegate. Delegate.
Right.
You don't have to do everything. I know everything's in your head and nobody can do it better than you.
Yeah.
I get that.
The typical entrepreneur.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that too. Oh my goodness. I definitely had to learn that. But there are things that you can delegate. And you always want to teach that next level to replace you. That's really how you have to look at it. So finding the right people that are like you is challenging because you're never going to find another you because you are unique. But you can recognize those in your company who need that mentor, who are very good at their job. They just don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So first and foremost, let's figure out of your staff who you can work to promote, to assist you in certain jobs that they can do. So it's very grassroots first, just lay it all out, and now let's figure out this path for this and this and this and this. So
Yeah.
I love working with entrepreneurs.
Well, that's great.
Well, everybody really. But
You made a comment there too, like the people that don't know what they don't know.
yes.
So for those listening and watching this right now, if you could share one thing about how you help people, what would you want them to know?
I help them see themselves for who they are and project in the world. I see them and I share that with them, how I see you. Because we tend not to see ourselves in a positive light. It's so funny. The first thing we go is like, well, I could use a few pounds. I could be better at this. I could be better. That's the first thing they go to. It's never a positive comment about themselves. So that's a mind shift change, right? So once you change your mind shift, the world is open.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you've helped so many people in the community, and I know you're going to continue to help many, many people in the community. How do people find you? They're resonating with this interview, and they're resonating that I could be somebody different. I don't have to accept who I am. How do they track you down?
I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also my website, yourconfidencecoach.ca.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to make sure all that is linked in the show notes. Michele, I want to appreciate you for being on. This was such a fun discussion, and you've done such amazing things for people. I'm going to implore anybody listening or watching to this to check you out, especially when they're struggling and they know there is a better way out there, and you can help them figure that out. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it. And thank you for the community of introducing the community to so many different and very cool entrepreneurs and business owners. It's wonderful what you and your team are doing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.